Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Edna Keep here live. Today I have one of my students with me, Keaton Wlaz. So Keaton has started with me, oh gosh, must have been about 2 years ago, right, Keaton?
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago, I think. Yeah.
And I watch him all the time. I see his different posts he puts out. I know that they're very active in the market. They've got lots of good things happening right now. And I just wanted to share his story with you guys because as I tell you, we can all do this. We just have to commit to it, get the training, get around the right people, and then just do it. So, Keaton, tell us a little bit about how you got, first of all, interested in real estate. What made you decide to pursue that as an option? There's so many people they get a job and they just stick with the job. And although you have a really good one, you're looking out for your future too. So just kind of touch on that a little bit.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town farming community in Kate River, Saskatchewan. But I'm not really 100% sure what got the bug in me to get into real estate. I've just, it's always been something that I wanted to do from a very young age. I always hated renting. So after I got out of high school, my goal was to buy a house. And I even remember when I graduated high school, that was when about the financial crisis happened in the United States.
Yeah.
So I remember all the house prices in Phoenix went down to like $40,000 or something like that. And I remember begging my parents to go there because I didn't have the money
Yeah.
and buy a bunch of houses.
Yeah.
And I really don't know where that came from,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying I was an expert or anything like that. I'm just saying that I was kind of saw the value in it from a pretty young age, and I'm not sure where it came from. It just always has been that
Makes
way.
sense to you, right? Like it's just like you should go buy those houses when they're on sale.
And they're that cheap, and now those houses are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So, but when I graduated high school and I managed to save up enough for a down payment, well, half of it. My parents were fortunate enough to help me with the other half. I bought my first place, and what I did is I had quite a few bedrooms in the place, and it was near university. So I filled each bedroom with university students, and that's when I really realized that this is an awesome investment because I had a lot more beer money. Um,
The important
so,
stuff, right?
yeah, exactly. So I was basically living in the house for free, and that's when I realized this is something I have to pursue, and and I still have that house today. I mean, that was, not a great investment, that house, because I had every problem you can imagine go wrong, but I didn't know what I was doing when I first bought.
Yeah.
I did a lot of things throughout the years to better myself at investing in real estate by investing in my education and learning as you go, obviously. So a lot of those mistakes were big ones, but I still saw the value in it, and am here today. So
Well, and I've given that piece of advice to so many people, like, and go to, if you're going to university and you have to buy a house, fill it up with other people. Like, don't just go get a one bedroom studio. It's better to, I've told so many of my clients, better to you to buy a house for your kid. It's probably going to cost you the same as your first year's rent. And because you can get, or most of the time you can get the second one with the 5% down. And
mhm.
then fill it up with their friends and let them help pay the rent, and then your kid could probably live there for free. I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds, like sometimes it's challenges finding the right roommates, right? I know we've had ones where all the kids just weren't part of it and the parents were busy working and they just couldn't see the value. But for the ones that got it and really did something with it, it's made such a difference. Like, 4 or 5 kids going to university over a course of 10 years, that's huge, huge savings and income potential.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I mean, it's back then that I never took into consideration the economy. Um, the timing of the buy, the house itself. Like, I mean, I had my walls were caving in at one point. So, I mean, I had to do bracing. I had major flooding issues with the sewer lines and all that stuff. It's just, and I paid too much for it, right? It was right at the peak of the market. But thankfully, I had all those tenants in there to help with that. And I was able to overcome some of those financial challenges that I had initially, which helped a lot.
So what are you working on now, Keaton? So I know for one thing that you bought an apartment building just in the last year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we closed on a 24 suite apartment building in Tisdale, Saskatchewan. We closed on that last year. That was a long process, but we did the model that I learned from you, which was the buy and using all investor money and putting them on the title as owners in the property as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a pretty good little property. Well, it's not a bit little, I guess it's 24 suites, but it is. I did a lot of research in before I purchased this property itself, because I know that I didn't do that in the past, and I know the area, and Tisdale happens to be one of the few areas in Saskatchewan that is seeing strong economic growth.
Yeah.
And I knew that, so I did certain things to go before I made the purchase. I went into Tisdale and I met up with the economic development officer. I got a lot of information from him in regards to certain investment that's coming into the city.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to drive certain economic growth, specifically in agriculture. But it's also important that we had to look at different economic factors as well. There's not just agriculture, right? So there's also Tim Hortons and Sobeys and Buy Low grocery store that came into Tisdale that year. And I know that those companies, before they set up shop somewhere, they do a lot of research into the area to make sure that it's going to be a viable investment for their investors as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw those things coming in, I knew that this deal we should probably hop on, and we did. And it took some time to close on it. There was a lot of challenges and a lot of things we dealt with upon closing, but it's doing very, very well today. Yeah.
So no regrets.
No regrets at all. No.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you know what? With anyone, there's going to be a learning curve. Even with your first home, but our first home too wasn't perfect. There was challenges with it. I didn't think of it as an investment. I only thought of it as a place to live. I didn't have roommates or anything like that. But you don't know the best areas. I hadn't lived in Regina that long, didn't know the best areas. It all turned out in the long run, but it's a learning curve with anything, and it's a bigger learning curve when it's an investment property. Like meeting with the economic developer, all that kind of stuff is such good information, because that's the kind of stuff that tells you what's going on. You get to hear the inside knowledge of what they've got planned for their little town, right?
Yeah, exactly. And even doing certain things like, kind of going undercover, right? Like calling around, seeing, what you can get for rentals. I did that as well. Called to see if I could find a place to rent. And, oftentimes when I called, people are like, you're not going to find a place. You better start looking or put your name on a waiting list or something like that. So that was awesome news to hear, right? So
absolutely. Money ringing in my ears. That's awesome. So what are you working on now, Keaton?
Well, now we were doing the multifamily there for a couple of years with you, and we've closed on a building in Regina and Tisdale. And we've recently, the group that I was working with, we're still working together, but we recently partnered with another fellow that we have been going for coffee with for probably 2 years now. And he's new to Canada, but he is a developer and a big commercial real estate investor. And he's done transactions around the world, and he's only been in Canada for about 2.5 years now. And he came to Regina, Saskatchewan. He's from Dubai. And so how we met him, my business partner, Gina, she's also a mortgage broker. And she had, this fellow had came to Canada and he needed to buy a property. And Gina was helping him with the mortgage. And he learned from her that she's into real estate investing, and he is too, obviously. So he knew nobody in Canada yet. So it only made sense to go for coffee and chat about real estate. So we did, but he was doing different. We were in the multifamily area, and he was doing other commercial ventures. And over those 2 years, he's transacted just in Saskatchewan alone on 10 different commercial properties. And that's pretty impressive for someone that's new to a new country, right?
Exactly. Very.
So over those 2 years of going for coffee and everything, me and Carter and Gina, are my business partners there, we also had a interest to go into commercial real estate, but we were a bit nervous or scared to go into that area like we were when we started multifamily.
Yeah.
So it only made sense for us to team up with him and form a partnership, which we've recently done. So we're basically, our new model now is we're coming in with a cash finance type model on commercial properties. We're coming in and purchasing undervalued commercial property with cash using investor capital, and then we're optimizing the building if it needs to be optimized. It might not even need to be optimized, depends on what we're doing. And then we're financing the building and paying out our investors. And so that's the type of new model we're working on now. It's not an ownership structure with investors anymore. It's like we did with the multifamily. This is an interest-paying opportunity.
What kind of time frame are they looking to get their funds back?
We can do, it depends, because there's the option to roll over funds, right? So what we're doing is right with our investors right now is we're doing yearly contracts.
Ooh, okay, sorry.
That's okay. Per annum investment. So you come in with a certain investment, and we pay a 10 to 12% per annum on your original investment, with the option that we can pay you out early, because sometimes we're finding that we might get financing earlier than ever, and so you can have that investment paid out early, or we can roll it over into the next one. And part of what we want to do is mitigate as much risk as possible. So, I mean, we're buying undervalued assets, so we're really, really conservative. The challenge with that, though, is it's tough to come across or to find properties like that sometimes that are really undervalued and get the good deals. Mm-hmm. But we do have an inflow of deals that are really starting to come. So we are seeing a lot of momentum now.
Okay.
But we will never close on a deal unless it makes sense for our model. And our model is kind of rare, I guess you should say, or it's tough to find those types of deals. So we're securing investors to the title free and clear as a mortgage. So they're in a mortgage in a first position, mm-hmm. and then we're financing them or financing it afterwards and paying them all out. That's how it works.
Perfect. Well, that's exciting. We've done quite a bit of that too, so I totally get it, totally understand. And it is a nice, safe, secure way. We've done a lot of first mortgages and second mortgages, and I love it. I teach people all the time. Have you ever read the book, The RRSP Secret by Greg Habstreet?
I haven't, but I haven't read it. I should, but we are using RSPs because it is RSP eligible, and
you know what's a good book to even give to potential investors, Keaton, because it helps them understand.
What is it?
And it's thick, like there's lots of good information. He's Canadian. He's I think he still lives in Calgary. But yeah, it's probably 10, 12 years old. It's an older book, but it's got everything in there that you could need. So yeah, if you're talking to potential investors and they're unsure, get them the book. It'd be a great gift to hand out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really good. And I keep one on Kindle because I like to show it to people. I read it like many, many, many years ago, but very, very good information.
What did you say it was called again?
It's called the RRSP Secret. And the fellow's name is Greg Habstritt, Habstritt. Really, really good book. So what else? So I know you're still working full time. What's your goal? What's coming next?
Well, we'd like to, I mean, I'm still working full time as a police officer, but the nice thing about my job is I work a pretty nice schedule. It's a 4 on 5 off, 5 on 4 off type schedule. So I have a lot of time to work on real estate and do these types of things on my days off. So I don't have an issue with working. I still like what I do.
Yeah.
So for now, this working is going fine. So as far as what's next is we're just hoping to start closing on some of the deals that we have going on right now as a partnership. Between all four, we've done deals together, but between our partnership, our incorporation, we haven't closed on them yet. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to next.
Okay, sounds really, really interesting. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and connect with you and hear more about your potential investments and what you're working on, how will they get hold of you?
Well, anybody can call me or text me if you want at 306-768-8580, or shoot me an email, Keaton, Keaton .Wlaz, Wlaz, @gmail.com.
Okay, perfect. And then I find that a lot of people reach out to me on Messenger on Facebook. Are you on there too?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook Messenger too and all the social medias. So.
Okay, great. So what would you give as points of advice for people who are just starting out in real estate?
Well, be patient. One for me, like that I had to learn. That was a struggle for me. Is I wanted things to happen quick, and that's could be the millennial type generation stereotype. But it takes a long time to learn the ropes and to make the connections and to network. But I mean, you gotta start off by getting involved in networks and in groups and making that database of people, of like-minded people that you have around you. And then from that, you have to learn. And then from that, you can, learn how to analyze deals and close on deals and raise money and do sorts of things like that. So it takes a long time. So you do have to be patient, but it pays off in the end. That was the biggest thing for me, was I had to be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. We started 12 years ago and we didn't have everything handed to us. We had things that went wrong, but you know what? It was always a learning curve. And the biggest thing I think we always found too was getting around like-minded people. Because then if things go wrong and they go, oh, that happened to me too, then you don't feel so dumb, right? Because a lot of times we beat ourselves up for what went wrong. And the fact is, there's a lot of really sophisticated investors out there that still have things go wrong. There's risk in this game. You just have to be willing to take it and you mitigate it as good as you can, and then you just go for it, right? Because if you hang on long enough, it'll all turn out good. But it's the hanging on that's a little tough sometimes. Sometimes it feels like it's by your fingernails.
Yeah, very true.
Anyway, thank you very, very much for coming on and speaking to us, my audience. I love showcasing former students who just went on and done so many great things, you know. I don't pretend to think that my course is the be all and end all to everything. Like, I don't touch on commercial properties at all. So, but I do find that it opens your eyes to the possibilities, right? And I still remember when you met your potential investor. I had coffee with him too, and I thought, you know, good for you guys. And you know, you never know where it's going to take you. 2 years later, you could not even know him anymore. But you guys have really expanded on it, and 2 years later, you guys are full-fledged business partners. So that networking, the connections, and you know, I remember when Gina met him and recognizing that could be a really good potential. That's huge. A lot of people just bypass it. Oh, I just did a mortgage for a guy. But she really got to know him and figure out how she could help him. And look at you guys now.
Yeah, and it all started, you know, by when we joined your course, right? We would have never met if it wasn't for the course, and so there was a lot of value in the connections
Yeah,
and the
because that's actually how you met Carter and Gina too, right? Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't have those business partners today. I wouldn't be here today doing what we're doing now if it wasn't for
And they're
that.
amazing people. Really, I love Carter and Gina. Like, they're amazing. So, and to see the three of you guys come together has worked out. Like, I just love that. And it's worked out really well for you guys. So yeah,
Yeah,
I encourage partnerships like that all the time, because all of you are different people and you all have different strengths, and pulling that together, it's just like having a fourth mind, right? It's like there's something else in the room that's just, oh, so happening for you. So I'm really proud of you guys. So I'm so glad to hear. And yeah, keep in touch, stay sharing in your deals, and hopefully some people will reach out to you and find out more about what you got going on.
will do.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thanks, Edna. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye.